So you've been to President's Club and you're a pilot. So have you been to Mile High Club?
Oh, man.
That sounds like a yes.
I'll be honest, I still don't fully believe you, but hey, we'll take your word for it.
That's some royalty-free shit, people. That's what we do.
Beyond Quota.
We're back. I'm Pouyan from Scratchpad. We've got Ross with us today without the headband, so I don't know what's going on. I always say we're excited for our guests, but we really are. So
this time we're not lying.
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, AJ, we're excited to have you, and you've got an incredible story as well. Starting a company, investing, starting yet another company. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I always like say I'm excited to be here. I mean, I say that for everyone, but this time I'm really excited.
We're really excited to have
you. You were probably right
well.
before this, like, fuck, I have this stupid podcast. I told them yes, like 2 weeks ago. So here I am. I have to do it.
I'm excited to be here. I think the intro on me, with my whole career in sales, well, all 15 years. That's a lot of years. 15 years. I started with Meltwater, individual contributor. A lot of are like really great people that I mean, I'm sure you guys all know and have talked to, and we were talking about Sahil. Katie Ivey was also there.
Why don't you tell us, how did you end up there in the first place?
At Meltwater?
Or just why sales?
Yeah, what series of unfortunate mistakes did you have?
This is like the story, right, where I couldn't get an internship anywhere else, and I'm like, fuck, I need a job after college at Penn State. But actually, it was a little bit more fortuitous than that. I knew I wanted to start a company and start my own company at some point. And my uncle, who was super successful in real estate sales, I was asking him what type of company how do I start a company? What type of career job do I get into? And he said sales. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to get into sales. Like, that sounds...
Yeah, please. I have self-respect, uncle.
Yeah.
I'm not a piece of shit.
My friends have self-respect, and I want to be like on their level and have self-respect. I don't want to be like working in a dealership. But he's like, no. Listen, you're going to get this like grade A MBA on the job training. You're like going to get all of the things that you need to get to and work outside your comfort zone. It's going to be great. And if you want to go start a company after that, I think you'll have the skill set to do it. So I applied to one job, I did one interview, and I got that one job in that one interview, and that was at Meltwater. And then like 2012, I was 5 years in. I kind of done all the things. My wife was pregnant. We were going to move back to Philly. I knew I wanted to start a company at that point. And I just had a boss that I just didn't get along with at all. And he wrote me an email once, and I have the email still today. It was like, hey, if you ever started a company, it would be losing thousands of dollars a month. And I was like,
Should we put him on blast right now? Should we name drop, dox him, and send the dogs?
I do not want dox him. I say that, but he also did that was fantastic for me. But so it's water on the bridge. But the second thing he did is he took all of the leaders of his like area. He was the area director of the West, to see Tony Robbins and see Unleash the Power Within. And so the second thing that happened is I got all like juiced up on like, change your tone, all of the Tony stuff. And that made me like just kickstart into, I'm going to start a company. And not only going to start a company, I'm going to start a company that competes against my previous company, because that's a smart thing to do.
Love that. Not bitter, just going to compete with you.
This won't be a problem for me at all down the road. Yeah, you guys have hundreds of millions of dollars of resources, and I'm sure this will work out really well.
Was that Trendkite?
Yeah, that was Trendkite.
You went into management at Meltwater. What's the thought process in going from that to starting your own company?
When I started the company, I didn't know, like my co-founder and I didn't know what we were going to do. We're like, social's really hot right now. Why don't we do something in social? That Instagram's a really big thing. Maybe we should do something there. And we landed on Trendkite as like the PR attribution. That's what we were, of like, okay, Meltwater does this thing. Let's build that mousetrap, and then let's build a better mousetrap on top of it that like is a dashboard, a BI dashboard for media monitoring. They're not doing it well. We can do it better UI. We know the market. We know we have product market fit. We know we can just like go in and crush it.
What did you take from your experience in sales and apply as the founder, CEO of a company?
Well, I think it's the empathy piece of it. Like what I loved about TrendKite is like I had the science of sales at the board level of the productivity metrics and knowing the quota capacities and rep productivity models, and then like the day-to-day mental trash that a sales rep goes through. I mean, I do all my one-on-ones walking, and like I did 80 one-on-ones every quarter in a 2-week span, and I fucking loved it. And it was just a lot of like making sure that the reps were thinking like from a career standpoint that they were thinking about. So I had the empathy piece of that. The other side of it is just like at the end of the day for a CEO, you're telling a story, right? Like that story. I mean, you learn all of this craft of storytelling in sales, and whether you're closing a fundraising round in Pouyan, you know this, like that fundraising process is just a sell. And that itself, I learned a lot from my sales days. And I think 60 to 70% of CEOs were sales leaders previously. There's a good reason for that.
Would you say QuotaPath is a sales-driven organization or a product-driven organization? Or do we have a happy balance?
Oh, you forgot the third one, Ross. We are a customer-centric organization.
Oh, yeah.
We're customer-centric empathy. We're product-led growth, man. Product-led growth. We're PLG. We're all about that PLG. We are actually very product-led as an organization. And I think this is true for Scratchpad and QuotaPath. And there are very few companies that do this. They think about the end user, the sales rep.
So you've seen some shit go down in sales. You've seen it go down on the sales floor. You've seen it go down with other people and what have you. How do you think about that happening at your own company now as the leader and the CEO?
Man, I don't have time for this shit that I used to have. Can I tell a story real quick? That's like
yes,
fucked up story.
Yes. That's literally why we're here. So yes, please.
So like the build up to me leaving the sales team was like getting wilder and wilder. So like, for example, in April for end of quarter, we built a cashnado and got $10,000 from my own bank account and I threw it in there. And then like, if you close the deal, you'd get like 7 seconds. Everyone was hitting quotas. I would walk in at 7:30 in the morning on closing day and like, you could not hear yourself think. I was like, all right, we're going all out. I'm going to do a shot for every shot of Fireball. Fireball was our choice.
Not naturally.
I took 17 shots that day. I was good. But we were like,
were you 17? I'm pretty sure I'd be in the shadow realm.
It was, yeah. So we rented out this place, Greenlight Social in Austin. It was a bar, had the whole company, like giving this like massive talk and speech to the company. And there's like a whole commotion in the background. And I want to preface this by saying everyone was completely fine. There's no death.
No one was harmed.
Best way to start a story.
Of this story.
Well, we had someone unfortunately mixed too many different things and was ODing in the background. It caused a whole change and transformation in how I thought of it. He survived. There was 14 people fired. There was lawsuits galore, and it was fairly fucked up. That was a big change for me in thinking about how I wanted to set up my next company and the sales-led versus product-led. I just wanted to have more of a culture where there was inclusivity, where everyone felt like there was inclusivity.
But now it sounds like there's only $5,000 in the cashnado.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say the Fireball is replaced with like small cups of green tea.
Everybody's drinking kombucha.
Now that you had that experience and it sounds like you're building a company or an organization that's less on that party culture. What are you noticing as a difference between the two?
I think I think that like when we talk about DEI or diversity, people typically think about like the gender and different ethnicity backgrounds. But actually, interestingly, I think about like the different personalities of people, introvert versus extrovert. Certainly your backgrounds and your culture backgrounds make up who you are. I just also know that like not everyone in the organization is going to want to go hang out on 636th in Austin.
I'll be there this weekend.
You've been there.
I'm going this weekend.
You're gonna be at what is it, Barbarella's?
Yeah, I will be everywhere, I assume.
No, not everyone wants to do that, and so you got to find ways to make sure that like everyone can celebrate as a team. And I think in remote culture, that's something that we're now dealing with is like, shit, how do we all celebrate without it feeling like hokey? We've already done we've done all the virtual things. We've done the drink tasting. We've done all of that stuff. Now we can have some level of in-person. What does that look like? And how do we not overwhelm the team when we get back?
And one thing that we're actually learning a lot in working with our customers, our users who are salespeople, is neurodiversity, which is really, really interesting. In talking to so many folks that are in sales that are neurodiverse, and this is something that I'm learning a lot about still. But
What the hell does that mean? What the fuck does that mean?
It was new to me, but once you unpack it, it's really interesting, and I think it's something that is being talked a lot about. It will be talked about a lot more, which is we all process information differently, right? We prioritize differently, and in sales, you're kind of made to fit into this mold, which is here's your fucking process, here's your Salesforce CRM, go. You got to log activities, you got to do this, this, and this. And people just work very differently. We think great ideas can come from anyone and anywhere. Doesn't matter what your tenure at the company is, what your role is, what your background is. And so I think we keep that at the forefront. And that's actually helped us try to find folks that have very different backgrounds and ways of thinking. And some of our team sessions turn more into like creative jam sessions than updates on anything, which I guess I have to get feedback from my team on how they like it. But I think they like it because everyone's contributing and smiling. How that translates into an in-person session, I don't know. We've never done a team on-site. We're going to have our first one coming up. And so,
just a quick digression there, Pouyan. You and I had the last in-person meeting that I ever had prior to the.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was like everyone was kind of freaked out. I remember one of the founders was like super freaked out. It was like, I haven't left my apartment in a week and I'm just coming here for this. But yeah, that was like the last like collaborative in-person founder meeting that I had. I think,
and then the world shut down right after, and here we are opening up again.
Yeah.
But no, I do think it's something that for a lot of folks, a lot of companies that are more remote first now, we'll have to really think seriously about is what does getting the team together look like now?
It's going to be hard to not put salespeople together.
Yeah.
In even mini pods.
Yep.
Like I would much rather sell with other people getting absolutely dominated on the phone than me alone getting dominated by myself. All right. I have a lot of issues just being on my own as it is. Selling on my own, not for me.
We opened our office in Austin back up, our sales office last month, and it's been great. There's been a lot of questions like, how many days can I do? But I just know how much knowledge transfer gets taken from sales specifically. It just is so helpful to do that. But there's a lot of people that have applied that were in person. They're like, no, I want to be remote, even though I can see your office. Like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, well, not.
I wonder if like the microdosing has gone to like major serious dosing from the investor side, because some of this shit just doesn't make sense, at least to me.
I know, we all know.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and you're either in the market and you're playing, or you're sitting it out. So you got choices.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I think it's important to recognize is when the game changes. And I think that's what's actually happening in startup fairyland, if you will. It's the game is changing. It's from where it was 5 years ago, and definitely from where it was 10 years ago. Yeah. Even when we did our seed round at Scratchpad, it's what I would have considered a Series A when I first started getting into startups.
Yeah.
And now there's like something called a pre-seed round.
Mango seed round.
The mango seed.
Seriously, like the fruit seeds. Just
fruit
no,
seeds.
but I think it's important to recognize. I would assume just in sales, like situational awareness of like, hey, when is the ecosystem, when has the landscape shifted? And I think that's definitely happening in building companies right now. Well, this was great, AJ. Thanks for joining us. We like to end with 2 questions.
I have a third question though.
Let's start with
let's start with that one. Okay, so
Yeah.
You've been to President's Club and you're a pilot. So have you been to Mile High Club?
Oh man.
That sounds like a yes.
Look at that smile. No response needed.
Don't look away.
Oh my
There you have it, folks.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna take the fifth on this question.
Great. I'll take that as a probably. One question, 2 parts. You get one song, Pump Up. Big sports game, big deal. What is it?
Yeah, White Panda, Barely Legal.
And then the other side of that is you just had the worst day of your life. You know, a bunch of deals fell through. Nobody's getting into the Cashnado. What are you putting on?
So I'm a little bit more like Zen and chill. So Black Mill is probably what I'm doing. You're like, these aren't even songs. What the fuck are you doing?
Were you listening to this the day after 17 shots of Fireball?
Yeah. Black Mill is like a very like, I need to like recenter and get my chi back. And that's what I kind of like play in the mornings. And if I'm like ever feeling down, Black Mill Radio.
AJ, thanks so much for joining us. This is great.
Thanks, AJ.
Beyond